Hello everyone. So this is part B of the video 6. I had to left in between, but let's start again. Before watching this video, please watch Indian Contract Act video 6 part A before moving forward with this. We had left the concept of misrepresentation in between, so let's complete it. Okay, let's start. I'd already dealt with what is misrepresentation. Is misrepresentation happens when some false statement is given, but the person who is making that false statement, he is the innocent one. This statement is given innocently. There is no intent to deceive, but still, why the law makes this kind of why there's a concept of misrepresentation, because even if that person has deceived, and because the other party has been wrongfully, the other party has got a loss and one party is getting unjust enrichment out of a misrepresentation. But what the law prescribes is, even if such contract is formed, but such contract will be held voidable. We were discussing its essentials, what all ways misrepresentation can happen. Misrepresentation is under section 18 of Indian Contract Act. Okay, let's take it further. As I told you, what are the essential elements of misrepresentation? There should be false statement of fact. The statement which is given should be untrue. The, the statement is untrue or misleading, but this statement is given without intention to deceive, made before or at the time of contract. Such statement should be made at the time of the contract. Basically, why we have the concept of fraud and misrepresentation is because of such untrue statement, or because of these false statement, this has led another party to get influenced. These statements have influenced the decision making of the party who is getting affected by it, and the party who is getting affected or getting influenced, whose decision making was impaired because of those statements, that party gets the option to get that contract rescinded, because contract will be held voidable if that party is able to prove. Okay, then another is inducement. Innocent parties induced to enter into the contract based on the false statement. Another is inducement. Important element is, because of that, one important essential is because of that untrue statement only, the party has entered into contract. And also reliance. Innocent party relies on a statement of to their detriment, because the party who was getting got influenced, that party was at the detriment, means they suffered harm, even though it is not an actual harm, but still it is a legal injury. I hope you understand what is the concept of legal injury, damages. These all you must have studied in the torts. I'm presuming you already know this. If you don't know, kindly check on any website, any legal website. You'll get to know. Because of because of lack of time, I won't be able to like go in that details. But let's take up misrepresentation further. As I was discussing this example in the last class, also A and B. So A makes a statement to the B. So they are agreeing on a sale of a horse. B wants to buy a horse from A. Okay. They have entered into a contract. Okay. But A basically is under. But what in the reality, horse is dead. But at the time of making contract, during the negotiation stage, A was under the impression that horse is alive. So do you think that here, even though A has made an untrue statement, all the essentials are getting fulfilled? There was a statement which was given which is not true, but A didn't have the intent to deceive B. He was under the impression that horse is live. This is fulfilling the A part of it. Positive assertion, here he's made positive assertion that is not true. So he believed it to be true. Because the other party, the one who has said that untrue statement, here it's written false statement, but with no intent. Okay. Another one is breach of duty without intent to deceive. For this, let's uh, take another example. Breach of duty. So how breach of duty is also a way. Breach of duty in the contract. If you see the the parties have certain duties towards each other. Certain duties. Just suppose, even though there was in such kind of cases, even though no intention to deceive, intention was not to deceive, but mistakenly certain, if certain duty is not performed. Example of such example, if I have to give of such situations, such situation is like if A and B have entered into a sale deed. Just imagine, you'll deal with such sale deed and such kind of contracts in your property law. But as we are doing contracts, so it's a kind of contract. Just for the sake of example, I'm telling you, they have entered into an agreement about certain facts. Okay, but in the contract, this B tells to A um, that he agrees to this agreement. B tells to B to sign the contract, and A also tells to B that whatever we have discussed, whatever was discussed at the time of contract negotiation, it's all of that is only in this contract. There is no another and anything else which is, and he tells explicitly. But in the contract, there is a there is a clause which is like, which is a very vital for the contract. And later, if B gets to know that this kind of vital clause was entered into and it was never negotiated, and A is like A believed that he had discussed it, but mistakenly he couldn't, he was not, he breached his duty, and mistakenly he could not communicate it. What basically it means that A has breached his duty during this contractual negotiations. A has breached his duty, and being as a seller, because here in this case A is a seller has the duty to disclose, duty of disclosure. When you'll study the rights of seller, when you'll deal with the property law, transfer of property act, then you'll study about the duty of seller. There are certain duties of seller which include certain disclosures which are mandatory for a seller to make. ठीक है. And if anything is not being dealt with, even though A has basically was mistaken, this has happened by mistake, but he has breached his duty, so this contract will be held, because this will be deemed as still it will be deemed as misrepresentation of facts, and contract will be voidable at the option of B. But B has a to prove it in the court of law. The person who is making that claim, he has a duty to disclose. Another could be any act. No, this is about fraud. Okay. Misrepresentation is any breach of duty within. No. Yeah, this we have done. Yes, causing a party to make a mistake regarding substance of the contract. The same example can be taken. The same thing. This clause was material, vital for the contract, vital or material, on which the whole contract was based. So, because of this false statement, basically the one party, the weaker party got weaker party. Not, I'll not call it a weaker party. Wait a minute. Because of that, one party here, the party B, got disadvantaged because of false statement of the another party. So law gives protection to the party who was affected, who got disadvantaged, who got influenced. You can use all of these terms in your exams or like to explain the rationale. I hope I was able to make the misrepresentation also very clear to you. What you can do after this class is basically read from books. I'm referring to Avtar Singh book. You can refer to any contract book. You will get a lot of cases. Read those cases. Try to understand that has the misrepresentation happened or fraud happened. What are the vital factors which I've discussed? Are it fulfilling all the essentials? It's all very practical. You can't. I would strictly recommend you not to just learn these elements and write. understand Understand how each case is fulfilling those essentials or not, because it's very important for you to know these concepts when it comes to understanding contract drafting is one of the essential skills for any lawyer. So it's a very important thing. I'll recommend you to go back and read. Here I will be taking Derry versus Peak case, a important case. You can read Sri Krishna versus Kurukshetra University, Peak versus Gurner. You can read these cases. Here, director were liable for misrepresentation in the company prospectus. In this case, basically, what happened is director were held liable for the misstatements. Now, also, this depends. This director had the intention of intention to deceive, or was it innocent mistake? Innocently, some false statement was given. There was a misrepresentation in the company prospectus. Something else was stated, but here in this case, it was held misrepresentation, not fraud. You further read this, you'll get to know. Here it was about concealment of material facts leading to voidable contracts. Concealment of information. This is a very general case about mm, hiding certain statement material facts. You should also go back and read these cases. Make sure you have like read 2 3 cases from fraud and like from misrepresentation. This will make your concepts very clear. I'm taking Derry versus Peak. It is an English precedent, so I'm just citing it. So it is widely cited for interpretation purpose. Whether honest belief in the truth of representation absolves from fraud. So basically, honest belief in the truth of misrepresentation absolved from fraud. Can if a person, if this was he believed in the truth of that statement, can he be held liable for the fraud? That was the case. So what the court held that fraud is proved if the false representation was made knowingly, without belief in its truth, or recklessly, careless, whether true or false. Establish mental element fraud. So here the court had to decide. This is a case about fraud case. Okay, let's take it. In the what the court held that in the fraud, basically this, if that person is making an innocent, if that person believed that statement, it again depends upon the facts of each case. Suppose if that statement was made, okay, the basic test for fraud is that that person knowingly made the false statement, made false statement. Or it could be that even though it was not knowingly made, it was recklessly made, recklessly or carelessness. If there is some statement which is like recklessly made, like any quantification, or like the nature of the work is such that you cannot recklessly make that kind of statement. Like if a doctor is making a very recklessly, he's doing a test and he's giving certain details about the test, and this is very recklessly, the carelessness is involved, then also it will be considered that there is a element of intent is involved. Element of intent is very important. Intent is mental element is there was an intention behind doing that particular thing. Okay, so I hope it's clear to all of you. One more thing which you need to know is inducement. One important thing for proving the fraud and misrepresentation is that the party who is claiming that that person was a defraud, the fraud happened or misrepresentation happened. One more essential is because of this misrepresentation or fraudulent statement only, that person has entered into contract. If there is other factors because of that, that person is entering into the contract, then it will not be held that because of we held a voidable contract, because fraud and misrepresentation has not become the cause for that person to enter into a contract. These all are basically a matter of the interpretation, the way how the facts are interpreted by the court. So when you read those case laws, you'll get to know, apart from knowing the essentials, it's also important how to differentiate. You'll get to know only about these when you read the case laws. I hope your fraud and misrepresentation is clear to all of you. Okay, let's take the next one. Okay. Oh, yeah. This is certain examples. Fraudulent misrepresentation, false statement made knowingly or recklessly with intent to deceive. So what is this? This is clear case of fraud. A false statement was made recklessly, knowingly, and there was intent to deceive also. Seller already knew that the car had accident, and then also he's making this claim, so it is knowingly made statement, so it would be held as the fraudulent statement. Then is negligent misrepresentation, statement made without reasonable grounds for believing its truth. As I told you about the negligence, the recklessness, it also depends upon the degree, like the degree of the harm which is caused. Like if you see, seller honestly but carelessly states engine is new without verifying facts. Without verification of the fact, if you're stating this facts, then there is presumption in the law that if you're causing something very unreasonably, carelessly, negligence, then also it is presumed that there is element of intent. Then also consider there was a malicious intention. Next, take a innocent misrepresentation. Statement made. This is will be held to be, both of these cases will be held to be fraud if there is innocent misrepresentation. Innocent misrepresentation, how it happens? Statement believed to be true with reasonable ground. There is reasonability there, reasonability, and it should be proved through the facts that the person who made that statement, he was innocent. There is no intention to deceive, no fault or negligence. Seller genuinely believes the property boundaries are as stated, but is mistaken. So seller genuinely had a belief. Now, as I'm stating, this is all the matter of how the court will interpret it, and also how the evidences will be provided. The party who is making claiming that there was a misrepresentation, they have to prove it in the court by providing the proper evidences. So there is a honest mistake here. He believed it. So it will be held to be a misrepresentation. Okay. So I hope I was able to make things clear. I tried my best to make it clear. Let's take our another factor, which is mistake topic. This is usually asked in a lot of MCQ questions, so make sure you like pay attention while I'm discussing it. Okay, let's take mistake. Mistake is an honest, incorrect belief about facts or law that leads one to believe. It is also innocent, incorrect belief about the facts that leads one or both the parties to misunderstand the terms or the subject matter of the contract. So, what happens is there is an innocent, incorrect belief, and there are two parties. This can lead both of the parties or one party. So, it can be bilateral mistake or unilateral mistake. ठीक है, about the subject matter of the contract, what it can result into, what are the effect of this mistake. Misunderstanding the terms. The both parties can misunderstanding of the terms can happen. So in this case, no meeting of the minds are happening. Subject matter of the contract. What is the subject matter of the contract, resulting in no true meeting of the minds. Meeting of the minds is not happening. But how, like, let's see how the law will treat such mistakes. Can it be held void, voidable? Let's see. You should also open your bare act to understand this concept better. Open section 2021 and 2022. Okay, let's take types of mistake. Broadly, it's categorized into two kind of mistakes. There can be mistake of fact. What is fact and law? Fact is kind of any factual thing. Okay, the facts of the case. The law is basically what is a law applicable, the legal provisions. You can understand facts in a layman term as details. Okay. So in mistake of fact, what happened? Erroneous belief about the material fact essential to the contract affect validity if mutual or certain unilateral mistake occurs. So in the fact, basically there is erroneous belief about material facts which are essential for the contract. Okay, and there can be a mutual mistake of the fact or unilateral. ठीक है, means both the parties are making mistake or one. I'll take it in the example form, then you understand better. And there can be mistaken understanding of law. Law is basically there is a mistaken understanding about the legal provisions. In India, ignorance of law is no excuse. It's always presumed that everyone knows the law. That is a presumption in the law. But mistake about foreign law are treated as mistake facts. The Indian laws can't be excused in the contract. Even if the parties had made some mistake about the law, still the contract will be held valid because it's not excused. But foreign law, because law knows that everyone don't know the foreign laws, so it can be excused. It's the section 2021, 2020, and 2022. See, if the agreement void where both the parties are under mistake as to the matter of fact, it's easy only, very easy to understand. See, if the both common mistake, both the parties share this wrong belief, then it is void. Contract is void of an issue because essential subject matter does not exist or is fundamentally misunderstood by both the parties, A and B. ठीक है, both the parties are under mistake in the subject matter. A is discussing about A B C and B understand that they are discussing about D E F, anything, ठीक है, in the contract. So there is no, both parties under mistake. ठीक है, this means both the parties are totally wrong in understanding each other. So here the contract will be held void because the true meeting of the minds did not happen. Okay, then the contract is void. You can read this. Erroneous opinion as to the value of the thing which forms the subject matter of an agreement is not to be deemed a mistake as to the matter of fact. Factual mistakes, if you see the illustration, let's take B illustration. A agrees to buy from B a certain horse. It turns out that the horse was dead at the time of the bargain, though neither party was aware of the fact. So I had also taken this example. So both the parties are agreeing to buy certain horse. Both the parties are agreeing into this, but at the time of the bargain, when the time of the bargain, they get to know that this horse does not exist. That horse is dead. This means that both the parties has caused a mistake, and as a result agreement is void. Then it's mistake of effect of mistake of law. Contract is voidable because it was caused by the mistake as to any law in force, but a mistake as to the law not in force has the same effect as mistake of fact. A and B make a contract grounded on the erroneous belief that a particular debt is barred by the Indian law of limitation. So basically, these people had the contract was formed, but the contract they were not able to understand the proper law in the Indian law of limitation. You will deal it further. What you just need to understand is there was a mistake as to law. Then contract will be held voidable because law cannot excuse the mistake as to law. So contract is made voidable. It will be at the option of the party who is getting affected. Okay, that person, that party will have the option to cancel or to make the contract valid. Then contract caused by mistake of one party as a matter of fact. The contract is not voidable merely because it was caused by one of the parties to it being under the mistake as to the fact. So this is, I've told, mutual mistake we have discussed, no contract void we have discussed, unilateral mistake when one party is under mistake. Okay, this means unilateral mistake if there is a contract between A and B. A is discussing A, the contract is about, there is a contract is about ABC, as I've discussed in the example. A is also talking about ABC, but B understand it as DBE. Just imagine any statement or any facts, just for example. So basically, A is under the right impression, B got it wrong. Such kind of contract will be valid contracts because here only one party was under mistake. Okay. But if this has caused, what you also need to understand here is, if B wants to make it voidable, B has to prove that there was certain kind of fraudulent statement, misrepresentation, undue influence, as we had discussed in previous section. Previous section, what was basically here, what the law is presuming that A had contracted ABC, A has done everything right, B is getting wrong here. Because of one party only, that contract, the sanctity of the contract, the validity of the contract cannot be at the stake. So it will be the duty of the B. If the B wants to make it the contract voidable, the B has to prove if there is some other element of fraud, undue influence, or coercion was involved. Usually it will be valid only, and sometimes voidable, as I discussed. For the voidability, other factors like coercion, undue influence, misrepresentation, these need to be proved by the B because he wants to make it voidable. Unless the other party knew or caused a mistake or the mistaken concern identity. Okay, mistake of law, as I told, is always valid because mistake of law is not an excuse. The parties were at they mistaken the law. It is the duty of the parties to know the law before entering into any contract. It will be held a valid contract. Mistake as to identity, contract may be void. In contracts, a personal identity is crucial. Personal service. Contract as to the identity makes contract. There's certain, like, because of the identity also, because the different person is involved. Such kind of contracts will be held to be void. Okay. So I've tried my best to explain you all the factors we have dealt with. Misrepresentation, coercion, mistake. If you have any sort of query, if I couldn't make any point that much clear, if you still have certain concerns about understanding the certain topics, you can reach out to me through the comment section. But make sure you are reading the case laws. I recommend you to read case laws from contracts, any contract book you read case laws from. And you can type me what kind of for like, I'll recommend you to give me at least 2 cases from fraud, misrepresentation in the comment section. I'll be happy, I'll answer to your comments. Please like this video. You can subscribe this channel for all these interesting videos. Finally, I'll say that keep watching, keep learning. Thank you so much.